13th, 22. A public hearing.
Trustee
Here.
Trustee Demo. Trustee Rigo.
Here.
Gomer.
Here.
Mayor Jarvis.
Here. So this is public hearing on the sign regulation code. When we passed the sign law, setting it to the zoning law to a number.
Well, no, what we did was, the village created new sign laws. And when you did that, it was adopted in August, effective in August, as a stand-alone sign law. So it's been in effect since August. What Lee identified was, I thought, a really clever approach was to say, look, if you number it, you could number it into your zoning. And if you number it into your zoning, then what happens is your zoning board of appeals can participate as far as interpretation. And if all of a sudden there's a question of an area variance or whatnot, there could be an appeal made to ZBA. So that's why the renumbering is something that you're looking at. Now, in doing that, your old sign laws were scattered in a few different places in your village zoning. So those old places were taken out. One blank place now is 150-34. So what you've got is the sign laws you adopted in August, and you just renumbered them to plug them into 150-34. If the village board adopts it, then what will happen is same law that's been in place since August will be in place, except your ZBA might participate from time to time if there's questions of variance, if the sign is a little bit too large, things like that. So it actually would be a clever approach, but Lee was the one that identified that.
If it's not incorporated in the sign law, there's no relief for the taxpayer for a variance.
Yes.
With it.
Need to open hearing to the public.
I'll make a motion to open hearing to the public.
Second. Motion by Trustee Palmer, second by Trustee Dorigo. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Floor is open to the public for resolution on the sign code numbering. Please state your name and your address, sir.
My name is James Stewart, and I live at 14 Bethune Street.
Thank you, sir.
First thing is, I have a letter here stating from a judge, he is setting a hearing for January 31st. However, the judge wants this case settled in the meantime. And he again was on the village attorney about whether there was a sign law in effect or not. Now we're going to get into the rest of this. The malice. You're going to talk about this.
This hearing is about the amendment, not the litigation. No, we're not.
We're going to talk about the sign.
We're not going to talk about litigation.
Yes, we are.
No, we're not.
We don't do that at public meetings.
We don't do that. You can, Mr. Stewart, we're not talking litigation. We're talking about the code.
Okay.
All right?
Okay.
So we're done with you, sir.
So when you're done talking about that, and then when you open the meeting for people to talk, then you'll hear me out.
No, sir.
You won't hear me out.
We won't talk about litigation.
No, this is not about litigation. This is not about litigation at all.
We're done, sir.
You can't silence me. No.
Really?
No, you can't.
Yes, I can. It's a privilege of the floor, not a right.
And I have the privilege to be
Not anymore.
to speak.
You either sit and be quiet, sir, or you'll be asked to leave.
Sir, you maliciously attacked my company.
You need to leave. You need to leave, or I will call the police and have you removed.
Well, just so you know, the judge says he wants to settle it, okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome, sir. Have a nice evening.
You too.
Yep.
Thank you all. Any other public comment on assigning the sign law into, the code? Hi, Thomas.
Well,
Hi, Tom.
I hope he doesn't know which car is mine.
Anybody? Anybody on the board?
Motion to close the public hearing.
Motion to close the public hearing.
I made that motion to close the public hearing. I'll second it.
Motion by trustee Moore, second by trustee Dorigo to close the public hearing. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? We'll go straight into the regular board meeting and open for public concerns. Public, any concerns you want to bring up?
Everybody's afraid to talk now.
Okay, we'll move on to correspondence. Correspondence, we have a letter from, GM and RW Lambrecht that live in Bainbridge, New York. They have a house on 99 Church Street. Village of A Bay, I can't understand why the water sewer rates keep going up. This is the second time the rates have gone up. We are not up in A Bay very often, so our usage isn't that much. The other rates for that water EDU and sewer EDU is outrageous. And again, GM and RW Lambrecht from Bainbridge.
If you're okay with it, I'd like to have that, go over that with Molly one day next week, see where they are with their water, and maybe me call and explain it to them, if that's okay. I don't need that now, but I mean, I'd like to allay their fears.
Correspondence. I was gonna ask for the approval of the minutes from November 9th, 2022, special meeting, November 17th, 22, annual meeting of December 5th, 2022. But we need to amend the minutes from the annual meeting on December 5th, 2022 to reflect the change in Mr. Burrow's, status. We said that Attorney Burrows was, with Conboy, McKay, Bachman, and Kendall LLP, and it needs to be changed to Attorney James Burrows with Kendall, Walton, and Burrows.
I'm being fired and hired all on the same night.
So under new business number 2, I'd like to do that now so we can correct the minutes from the December 5th meeting.
I'll make a motion to amend the minutes from the annual meeting to change it from Jim Burrows, Conboy, McKay, Bachman, and Kendall to Attorney Burrows with Kendall, Walton, and Burrows.
I'll second it.
Motion made by trustee Bowman, seconded by trustee Caputo. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Yeah, but it has to be approved. Molly corrected the minutes so that we can approve it the way it is.
Now with the amendment, we need approval to, a motion to approve the minute from November 9th, November 17th, and December 5th.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Motion by trustee DeRigo,
I'll second. See when the first one. that we have.
seconded by trustee Fulmer. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion to pay the bills. Bills abstract number 6 as presented.
I'll make a motion to pay abstract number 6 as presented.
Motion by trustee DeRigo,
I'll second.
seconded by trustee Demo. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Trustee reports. Cindy, I'll start at this end.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Gordon Court, our representative, whose name is Carol Bashford, has resigned from United Helpers, so we have two new ladies, one's name is Beth Snyder and the other one is Tara Beckstead, and they're gonna be splitting Carol's work. So they'll be our liaisons now, from now on. They realized that they've got problems with their pavement over there, so, and they do realize it's their responsibility to fix the sidewalks. And also with the parking pavement, it's not ADA, it's not approved by the ADA for the handicap spots. It was measured wrong or whatever, but they are intending to pave and redo those spots. So that's upcoming. They did finish the roof, hallelujah, because I was sick of listening to that. I shouldn't say that. It went on for about 2 months. You must have heard it too. Did you hear it? It was very loud, but it's all finished now, and they found some things that they didn't realize that were happening with the roof, and they were fixed. Let's see what else. That's it for them. The library just had their arts and crafts show. It went very well until it started storming, and then things quieted down. And they have a board meeting tomorrow night that I'll go to. Hearts for Youth, they have today applied for a grant for the next round of monies that comes from St. Lawrence Arts Grants up in Canton and Potsdam. We usually get about $5,000, and then we employ 5 local artists to come in and do arts and crafts with the kiddos, so hopefully we'll get that. And we're taking a break right now because the kids are so sick. Steve's gonna do a wood burning class tomorrow, and then we're taking a break because the kids are so sick. And we'll start back up with intergenerational games in January. So, and that's it.
No report.
No report. 3. Nothing.
I just have a few things. I'm still working, with Mr. Jaworski from Myriad Construction in Syracuse on the EV charging station. We had a site for it, you know, Jarrett and I picked a place that we thought was great next to the couple spots over from the 2 handicap spots in that parking lot up, the Empire Boat Lines parking lot. And they didn't like that, so they wanted to put it up in the middle of a lane up there, kind of like where the water line went.
Right over the water line, yeah.
Well, yeah, right there, and it has to be 6 feet in, and Jarrett and I talked, and Jarrett said, no, we had to blast in a major way to get that water line in there. So he is now looking, at aerial photographs again to see if we can put it a couple of spots over from the handicap space so they're not too close, and there is a pole there that will help them. So I should hear from them probably right after the first of the year, because nobody's in a hurry to do anything right now anyway. And then I think I told everybody that Gregor asked if we could have him, because I asked, January 5th, Thursday, for a meeting for New York Ford and DRI, our board meeting to meet with the people we hired to discuss that. And then I'm going to mention this, and I think I have it right. We've had a lot of discussions in here about Castle Cable, and I went back and looked at minutes, and I read the contract again, and I spoke to Castle Cable, and the way I understand it, and after listening to Jim at a meeting a couple of months ago, the Castle Cable contract with the village does not include Wi-Fi. So, like, we are sure of that now, and all this time, I mean, I didn't know that for years. I thought for years it did. Castle Cable's actually getting a bum rap, and I guess to some degree we should be happy that we have them here, which is why apparently we did what we did 20-some years ago to get them here. But if people want to apply to others, you can. I know there's a program with T-Mobile. You're getting T-Mobile. Other people have T-Mobile. Verizon Wireless will come in and have a package if you get your phone, your cable, and your internet. There's 3 things on the list from them. So they're starting to come here, but to get a simple Wi-Fi connection from Verizon, depending where you are in the village again, and the state of their money on the day you call, may take a while. I was told maybe 2 years. I cannot get it unless I switch my cell phone. I don't want to do that. I said, I have a landline. Can you not? Nope. And if they could, I get 100 megabytes now from Castle Cable, and Verizon couldn't do that for me. So there are other options out there, and people can now reach out and try. The big hurdle is these companies getting and using some of the federal and state infrastructure money to bring it here so that it is here and consistent. And that's that dilemma. And that's all I have.
We've done our usual fall, pickup of our sand, or our beat benches, trash cans, things like that. We have gotten all of the sand barrels put back out, so we're all set on that. Christmas decorations are up. I had a visit by, an inspector today. I hate to say it, but we've gone over and over these fire extinguishers in this building, and I keep on getting the guy that says, I'm gonna be there next week, I'm gonna be there next week. I think it's time that we have to take a look. It's gonna be a very expensive process because the fire extinguishers are owned by Straight Line. For us to go with another company, that means that we return all the fire extinguishers back in. But, I have not had the Ansel system over the stove inspected since 2020. I can't get them here to inspect that. And we have some fire extinguishers that are out, not out, but they are out of inspection. So at this point, I think, I'm gonna move forward and see if we get a different company in the building for that reason alone.
I agree. As buildings, I agree with that. We should have two companies, two estimates.
As the guy says, he was just strictly here to look over it, show us our issues and move on. But again, the hood that we were supposed to get from the same company that was supposed to be installed this fall was to no avail, never showed up. So again, I think it's just time for me to move forward and get somebody else in here.
Okay.
So that's just about it.
Guys are doing a great job with intermittent winter.
Thank you.
After the first pretty good snowfall. Thank goodness we didn't get what everybody else got.
Yeah.
Zoning report. Lee.
Last week, 4 members of the comp plan committee, we did a little tour through the village, did measurements from the side, or from the center of each street, side yards, to see if there's any continuity between our 3 different districts. We may be trying to take our neighborhood, our 3 neighborhoods, and put them into one district. It'd be much easier if these numbers come through. There's some consistencies between the 3, and then there's some places where, there's some variations with it. But the comp plan committee will be meeting tomorrow, our regular meeting. One thing we've kind of put on hold a little bit is short-term rentals. We know we need to address that. We're still getting information. There's 3 municipalities that have short-term rentals that we are, considering trying to form something up here in the village, when we get the comp plan, complete. I had to submit a report to OGS for, Hills Motor Corp's in the process of getting, government approval for their floating dock out there. I had some measurements and stuff. If these floaters go in, it's going to reduce this passage by 25%. Then if you put some boats on the village docks and their docks, it drops to 42% reduction in the space. So, regardless, even if they get the permit, it still has to come before the planning board, because the floaters would be considered an accessory use, and seeing how it's a commercial property, the village planning board will, have some input into it, with it. The last item, 25 Walton Street, I sent the lady a letter 2 weeks ago about the condition of her porch. I think this is the third time I have, and this time, I talked about the liability and the potential for fire, but then the unsafe building. We do have an unsafe building law in the village, that if the trustees want to pursue something like this, we've implemented in Orleans, and we got 3 out of the 4 cleaned up on their own. The 4th one, you know, we're going through the process of condemnation and to tear it down, so, but it will be an expensive thing for the landowner, to do it with attorney fees, engineering fees and stuff, but that's up to the trustees if they want to pursue it.
Which house is 25 Walton? Is that the white one
Yeah.
next to the bank forever?
The porch is falling down in the front.
Is that the one next to the bank? Okay.
Okay.
We can talk that in executive after.
That's all I have, unless there's some questions.
Does anybody live there?
No.
They don't live there. She now lives with her daughter in Syracuse.
She's not well.
No, she's not well.
I think the house, you won't, you have to get input from the engineer. I don't believe that's considered the unsafe, it's the porch itself.
The porch itself, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I did talk to her this summer about it, and she said she was trying to get a local contractor, but now we're into winter. Something we can talk in executive about,
Yeah.
being a litigation subject.
Yeah, if there was a motion made and seconded to discuss threatened, pending, or proposed litigation, you could discuss it in executive session.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
A second?
Yes.
Okay, motion by trustee DeRigo, second by trustee Palmer to talk in executive on 25 Walton. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay,
That's it, unless there's questions.
any questions for Lee? Oh, sir, thank you. Police report. Police department had 8 complaints, 1 arrest, 0 vehicle traffic tickets issued, 5 warnings, 0 parking tickets issued, 3 warnings, 19 building checks submitted by Officer Josh David. Full business, ready streetscape projects. Hi Gregor, hi Thomas.
How's it going? Hey. So I missed the beginning of the meeting. I'm not sure how much you talked about the Ready project, but.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Not at all? Okay.
Nope.
So last week we had a progress meeting, our monthly progress meeting, to give updates on the status of the Ready projects. Just a couple of things that are upcoming. The deck for the wharf, you're right, the concrete deck for the wharf, based on the weather, it sounds like they're gonna put that off until spring now. Just doesn't look like the weather's gonna cooperate for pouring concrete. A couple of other things that have been done recently, the floor in the water treatment plant is complete, and a lot of the electrical and plumbing has been completed at the water plant. They're actually gonna work on the siding this week, towards the end of the week, try to get that wrapped up too, and maybe work on riprap in the next week or two, weather dependent. Other items, the plan is to work on the lower James Street dock, get that demo work done, and get everything ready for when the floating docks arrive, which is anticipated right now sometime in March. They're anticipating getting the floating docks, and they'll install them as soon as the weather cooperates for that too. We also talked about the upper James Street dock at the meeting, and discussed the schedule for that and the demo work. We also discussed the elevation, and just to get everyone up to speed, that I know there's a few people that weren't at that meeting. Currently, the elevation of the permanent portion of the upper James Street dock is designed for an upper elevation of 250 feet. We had a discussion on the possibility of lowering that at the meeting, and since the meeting, we've had a few discussions with Department of State, and the Ready Commission to ask that specific question, if it would be possible to lower that elevation. And based on our conference call with them today, it sounds like it's gonna be approved to be consistent with the elevation at the bathrooms, which is approximately 249.2. So with that elevation adjustment, the docks, if everyone's familiar with Upper James Street Dock, the bathrooms would be consistent elevation out until it hits the floating docks. So it'd be approximately 300 feet at that elevation, and then the remaining almost 200 feet is the proposed floating docks that will extend to the existing finger docks.
We're gonna get a letter in writing saying that?
Yep,
Yes.
so the next step is that they need a letter from the village summarizing everything, and we've already started drafting that on the village's behalf. And they'll need that on village letterhead, and likely submit it to the Department of State. So we'll get that over to the village this week with a summary, and, the village can make any changes they feel fit, but, that's where we are with the elevation adjustment.
Molly, do we need a motion today to sign that letter without having a special meeting?
I would.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'd like to make a motion to approve the mayor signing the letter from BCA that's going to the Department of State to lower the elevation of the permanent part of the docks to 249.2. I'll second that.
Motion made, trustee Fulmer, second by trustee Caputo, to authorize the mayor to sign the letter to the Department of State written by BCA, changing the elevation from 250 to 249.1 or .2, whatever the
Yeah, it's approximately.
exact elevation will end up
We'll
when it's,
confirm with the
when
bathrooms.
it's confirmed. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
So this does not in any way impact our demo on the 17th or the 19th?
It does not, so you have an event scheduled for this
17th.
weekend, right?
But- Yeah, is it gonna be down at
River
the,
Santa?
The 19th is when Adam said they were gonna start on the upper dock.
right, where's
Okay.
River Santa gonna be? Lower?
17th at the upper dock. Let's see, the River Santa is on Saturday the 17th.
Yep.
And per Adam on our construction meeting, he's gonna start demo on Monday the 19th, 2 days after the River
Okay.
Santa.
So that works for your event,
And he's gonna be able to, we're not holding him up at all?
no, that's
No.
not gonna hold up anything at this point.
Great.
And during our construction meeting and talking about this, a lot of questions were, how much is this gonna affect the ready? How much is it gonna affect cost? Is it gonna delay? And according to Adam Powers from, DC Builders, it really shouldn't be, there's no delay, because we're doing a demo, and with the construction, instead of going up, I'm gonna just do a guesstimate. Instead of going up 2 feet, we're gonna be going up 1.5 feet or 14 inches. So instead of building an extra foot onto the top, that's gonna be taken away, and it shouldn't affect, any timeline construct. The only thing that's gonna affect the timeline is gonna be the weather, and that's the cooperation of Mother Nature. At this point, correct, sir? Gregor? So at that point, everything is not gonna be infected, pretty much.
Yeah, so what we're working on right now is, as they expose the substructure, the steel, we're comparing that to the design drawings from, I think it was 2010 timeframe. A couple of spots where they removed the decking so that we could see what was going on. It's a little bit different than what was in the design drawings, so we're gonna have a little bit of adjustment for that. But the elevation, you're correct, Mayor, elevation's really, the column's gonna be less than what was originally proposed, the steel.
Anybody have anything else on the ready? Anything? Streetscape, Supervisor Sweet. How you doing tonight, sir?
What do we have for any news? We're dealing with these ramps. I saw an email to, Charles, talking about putting the dock in a couple of weeks. The guy was here to measure the railings. He asked if those docks, if we leave those docks in over the winter. What do we do? I mean, you guys have floating docks on the main dock. Those docks have all been left in during the winter. These are pretty heavy duty, nicely built docks. I would hope that they could stay there and we don't have to pull them out every year. I don't think anybody planned on pulling them out, right?
I would hope that for right now, we would not put them in until springtime.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, there's no sense in putting those brand new floating docks in so they can just sit there and freeze for the first winter.
I think he measured for the railings, and we should have him just, make the railings, put the railings on, and like you said, do it in the spring. I agree. And the big issue is the fixing of Holland Street, but I don't have any more answers on that yet.
Charles was here today, measuring, he got the survey from Buddy.
You got that survey?
Yeah.
The original survey before they did the ramp?
No, there's no original survey before.
It's supposed to be.
Yes, there was supposed to be.
And the new ramp was supposed to be built to the design and dimensions and angles of the old ramp, right? But you don't have the old dimensions?
No, TJ that's on the contract. The contractor is supposed to supply it, and they didn't. They have now provided what is in there currently, and there was some information on that survey that was questionable. That's why Charles was here today to take some more field measurements. I mean, in the end, you know, the contractor's been put on notice that it's unacceptable the way it is. They didn't follow the design documents, as originally laid out, and that, you know, he's aware that the town and village is expecting a resolution to correct it. There's been some talk about, sounds like they have an avenue to do that once we tell them what exactly we want there.
How to fix it?
Yep.
Sounds like there is an avenue.
Yes.
And I had a conversation on the phone with Charles prior, 5-6 weeks ago, and I had him on speaker with Trustee Fulmer, and he assured us that the corrections to Holland Street would not cost the town or the village 1 penny.
That's my discussion with Mr. Fiacco. I said what you had said to me, and that's the exact same thing. We're not paying it down.
And that's, was reiterated to them again, is that, you know, this is not, don't come back looking for extra money for, you didn't follow the plans.
One more point. Crosman Street boat ramp, they dewatered it, they measured it. I don't know if you know all these numbers, but they dewatered it, they measured it. The measurement of the existing boat ramp was 46 feet to the blacktop. I mean, 46 feet of cement pads. Okay. Plans for replacement call for 26 feet. We said, no way. They're gonna shorten this boat ramp by 20 feet, it's gonna end up like Holland Street, unusable. I guess maybe Charles made the decision, or who made the decision? They ordered another 20 feet of concrete, and it's here, and it's in.
Because on the plan, it said, you know, the lengths shown were estimates based on when they took it, it was high water.
Yeah.
And so they, you know, did the survey to the best of the ability, but it was stipulated on there that they have to put it back to
what it was.
To what it was, which is how it went from 26 to 46 over there, because they dewatered it, and that was 46 feet long, so that's what they gotta put in.
So the contractor asked me where he's coming up with the $16,500 for the extra concrete. I guess you just answered that question. Correct?
Yep.
It's the same as the Holland Street. According to the contractor's foreman, it's 8 feet shorter than what they took out.
I have the old boat ramp down behind the barn stacked. I have the old boat ramp down the barn stacked.
Concrete.
Every single concrete chunk that they took out of there is stacked
From
down there,
Holland Street?
yes.
And do you have the old boat ramp from Crossman Street there?
That's up there too.
Do you know which ones are which?
Oh my gosh, yeah,
You do? That could
absolutely.
be important.
I guess I didn't know. I'm sure that was Mr. Cryer, because that's good to know.
They originally had asked about doing it, about throwing those out and crushing them. I said, no,
We're down behind the barn.
Here's a silly girl question. How do we get to this point where they, you know, you got a reputable contractor and prior, how do we get to a point like this where this is even a question, that it's not gonna be put in correctly? Or what they were gonna do and then bill us for more?
I mean, that's,
Okay, you answered my question.
it shouldn't have been that way.
I have a legal question. You deal with contracts and these things like this. What type of avenue is there towards the end of this contract, as far as payment's concerned, that we can put the lock on or hold on and not finish the payment? I know the way it's going right now, they submit a payment every so often when they get so much done, right?
Yeah,
Is there a final, or just
so
a
there's
last payment?
retention, each time they submit one, there's retention held off of that. So they don't get paid in full, essentially. So if they've completed 50% of the work, they really only have, I believe, on that 45% of the money. So whatever you've paid them to date, there's actually been 5% held back in retention on funds.
Is there gonna be enough in retention to cover us in case of an issue further down the line if it doesn't go in right? Or they attempt to fix it and then wanna bill us? I mean,
That's gonna be a matter of what the contract calls for, but a lot, and I've not seen the contract.
Yeah, I'd have to-
What you also sometimes will see is performance bonds. And if it's a performance bond, that will pick it up, that if something happens, the contractor says,
Yeah,
wait a minute,
it's also-
I'm making up numbers. It would cost $25,000 more to do it, but the retention is only like $6,000 or something. The contractor might not have an incentive to do it, but the performance bond would kick in if it could be triggered, but that's, you know, that's down the road. And that makes sure that the work is completed.
So wait, we can, the village get a copy of the contract from EDR to Fiaco?
but this here still doesn't answer my question. How did we get to a point with Fiaco that they, on both of them, didn't know what they were supposed to be building? Or tried to say they didn't know they were supposed to be building it the right way?
Good question.
Like,
I think your second statement is to try to say, I mean, it's on the drawing, so if it was more them just,
not paying attention.
yes, I would say.
Good
And I wasn't there for the exact change of events, so this is
What
just
was on the drawing?
They're
That was on the
trying to scam us.
that the contractor was required to take, once it was dewatered, to provide an as-built, or existing condition survey, and that, the new ramp was to go in to match that
Yes.
existing condition, and to raise any, like, to bring forth any concerns or.
So he's admitted to not providing that survey and not having it,
Correct, yes, he is.
pretty much be black and white, hopefully.
So and that's where, you know, in the conversations with him, it's like, you don't have any leg to stand on, you didn't do what you were supposed to do. But he's in conversations with him, you know, he's committed to correcting it to what it needs to be.
He's told me the same.
It's gonna make a bad name for himself out there if he don't do it right.
Thank you both. Thank you three.
Sounds good.
Gregor, do we have anything else that we have to talk about regarding Ready? We're all
Yeah, nothing else, unless there's any questions about the schedule or timeline. I think they mentioned at the progress meeting that their schedule may be extended because of the weather.
Mother, okay,
That's it.
I'm all set.
Pickleball courts, we're back to that.
I just leave it on there every month,
Yeah.
if we have any updates.
That's how she
We're going
makes sure.
anywhere.
The only update that I have is I actually have met with 2 contractors to get their feel on it. Both of them had suggested that we, as much bedrock as over in there, you don't want water laying in topsoil or clay underneath. So if there's an extra 6 inches before you hit bedrock, the suggestion is take it out so it's not a soup bowl underneath holding the water. And then when it freezes, it'll actually take the quart, eat it, so everything that you've done. So, weather permitting, I was gonna take the excavator up, just do a couple potholes up there, see what we're looking at for depth, but as we know, up by the road, there's bedrock on top of, when you pull into the tennis courts on the other side. So my guess is we're gonna be able to get rakes of bedrock, put some drainage underneath it, and be able to do what we want to do there. But again, their idea was just to make sure that we didn't leave anything that was gonna be in it that was gonna cause some future issues with it, so. Yeah. That's that.
So that gets done in the spring?
Yeah, but we can go up and pothole right now and just kind of get an idea of how deep it is,
Right.
but yeah,
Kind of lay it out, and
yeah. So,
you were talking of bringing in loads of certain size stones.
so we would put probably 4s in the bottom, probably 6 inches, depending on how deep we have to go.
Mhm.
And then we would put another 6 inches of 1.5 to tighten it up, pound it in, so you would get a good base in there. So,
Thank you.
yep.
Anything else in your old business? Anybody? New business, River Day, June 8th, 2022. Excuse me, 2023. Their village board is great enthusiasm. We look forward to returning to Alexandria Bay River Day 2023 in its traditional manner. This event's brought thousands of support from soldiers' families to the village of Alexandria Bay over the past 20 years. This year's event will be held June 8th, 2023. June 8th is that a Thursday or Friday?
Wednesday, I think. June 8th is a Thursday.
Thursday. They're requesting access use of the entire pavilion parking lot on June 7th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. for setup, preparation, June 8th, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Pavilion will be used to host a picnic lunch for the soldiers and families, prepared and served by USA volunteers. Also request additional space Upper James Street area to offer tenant entertainment and space for sponsors to set up booths for the soldiers. Ensure their safety, they request the support of the Alexandria Police Department to traffic, shuttle drop-off, pickup points. Request a DPW to assist blocking off with the pavilion parking 6 a.m. and to facilitate final setup. And this is from Michael Russell, AmeriQ Credit Union.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve River Day, June 8th of 2023.
Second it.
Can I ask a couple questions? Jared, have they ever used all of Upper James Street? They wanna use Upper, that's
We've
Upper?
never used Upper
They've
James.
never used Upper, right? Okay,
No.
just wanna make sure.
No.
There's nothing here. June 10th is Love Our River Day, the 9th and 10th is a 5K marathon. So there's nothing otherwise, okay.
Did somebody second? I missed it.
Cindy did.
Cindy. Sorry. Motion made by trustee Fulmer, second by trustee Demo to approve the Riverfest. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That's carried. Number 2, we already did. Number 3, authorize the mayor to sign and pay SNL Electric for pay app number 1 for $7,039.49. That work is at, primarily the water facility.
I'll make a motion to approve, to authorize the mayor to sign pay app number 1 for SNL Electric.
I'll second it.
Second by trustee DeRigo. First by trustee Palmer, second by trustee DeRigo. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion to authorize the mayor to sign and pay DC Builder Systems $540,740. That would be pay app number, I
No,
think it's about 3 or 4.
4.
Number 4.
4.
Number 4.
I'll make a motion to authorize the mayor to sign pay app number 4 for DC Builders. I'll second it.
Motion by trustee Fulmer, second by trustee Caputo. Pay app number 4 from DC Builder. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Number 5 is American Legion Heroes Banners. I've been approached by Paul Sherbino from the American Legion, Post 904 in Alexandria Bay. They're looking to do, banners for veterans from the town of Alexandria. At this time, it's for deceased veterans, to put up these beautiful banners I've seen in Copenhagen, I've seen in Lowville. Back in September, I was on my way to Albany. And they're 24 by 48 inch banners. They have 2 clamps, 2 poles that hold the banner in place. They have a picture of the service member, his rank, dates and branch of service, status, KA, POW, MIA, medals, what awards they've received, and they're looking at the sponsors of a cost of $200 a piece. So this is for, let's say, I'm gonna sponsor one of my uncles or something that was a service member. They're just informing the village that they're looking to do this next year. I don't know about if we need permission, or we need to obtain permission from National Grid for the poles to be, put the banners on.
I could contact National Grid, but I would imagine, because we already use the same ones for celebrations, that would just carry through on our celebrations,
No,
so.
like I say, they're looking to do this in the village of Alex Bay, and the Hamlets and pluses, Redwood for the members that might have came from those areas. Again, this is just a,
But
just-
how do we handle it when holiday time comes? They take them down and,
no, these would
They would just probably stay up, it's
Just
just,
stay up year round.
they would stay up.
and then what do you hang for holidays?
just those other ones, but we would just use other poles in conjunction,
Okay.
so, that's all.
I just,
Can they get somebody that hangs them?
I would
We
imagine
don't-
they would
Yeah,
ask.
they'll
us.
Yeah, we don't do that, okay.
I'll make a motion, we give the American Legion Heroes banners, hang banners on our poles in the village, through, clearance of Niagara Mohawk.
I'll second.
was that Judy?
I'll second.
Rings off to him. So with the American Legion Heroes banners, motion by trustee DeRigo, second by trustee Fulmer to approve. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? One second. I'll have to get back to Pam. Number 6, Winter Carnival request. I'll get back to you, Pam. Village Board, I am once again planning a winter carnival celebration. It's scheduled to run February 2nd, 2023, February 12th, 2023. Tentative schedule is coming together nicely with some old favorites, some new ones, exciting activities. The reason for this letter is to request permission to use the grass area in front of the McSherry Library near the raised beds to have a bonfire hot chocolate gathering. It's a very handy and convenient location for such an event. Date for the bonfire is Friday, February 3rd, 2023. I'll make the fire department aware of the activity. Thank you in advance and looking forward to hearing back from you. Respectfully, Dick Campbell, not the lawyer. During COVID, yes, we had to shut it down, but for the most part, they had the bonfires, hot chocolate, and so forth, and it was huge success.
Who sponsors this event?
It's a winter carnival committee. Yes, sir.
I'd just like to make a comment on the winter carnival as well. Am I allowed to?
I'll let you this time, yes.
All right, thank you. All right, so, on top of the winter carnival, I came here tonight to request permission from the village to use the golf course for a sled dog race. It'd be a one-day event. It'd be all day from 8 a.m. or 7 a.m. It'd be set up pretty much until dark that day. I've mapped out a 4-mile course and a 2-mile course on the golf course using the back 9 and the golf course itself. The trails, because depending on, I mean, all this is just going to pretty much come on to how much snow we have, right? So if we don't have the trail, then we can't run this thing.
Is this in conjunction with?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Mr. Campion's aware, maybe sent it out earlier, so I'm in cooperation with him and planning all this, but the trail is off the greens and tee box. I can send it to somebody, take a look at, but, I think it'd be a cool idea. We had it in the past, but it was ran down James Street and then it was put up. Yeah, it was put out on the river. Unfortunately, we can have the snow, but sometimes the river doesn't freeze. So, for right now anyways, I think it'd be really neat to at least start it here. Start like a 2 or 4 mile race and then, go from there. If it gets bigger, great, and, if it just stays a one-day event, then that's cool too. I'd like to, all the donations made off that, or all the entry fees for that race would be put back into, the fire department's, donations for the Fox over there. So, none of it, I don't want any of it to go back in our pocket, maybe back in the winter carnival, just for the, like, we're gonna need snow fence and stuff like that. I'd like, before I start putting out my feelers into the mushing community, to be able to talk to you guys and just get permission and go from there.
I think it's a great idea. Anything more that we can bring into the village, into the area during the winter is great. You said something about greens and tees staying off them.
Yes.
Is what you meant, correct?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, you have to stay off those,
Yeah,
but,
for sure.
you know, so long as I can see a trail or a map or we can see one,
Yeah.
I think it's a great idea.
Sandy has the golf course and
Okay.
back 9 and so forth. So if we could get something in writing, maybe a rough drawing of where it's gonna be held and so
Sure.
forth, and that way we can, with permission.
And also know that somehow in what you send us, that Camp Neat, that you're involved in the
Yeah.
winter carnival thing, and you
We
make.
can work this all together.
What do we have to do, because I'm new here, have to do as far as liability for events like this? Are they required to have insurance? Are we required to
That
get a
would be
rider?
something great.
What is our role?
This almost be
It would
permission
probably
slip,
be
correct?
good to see if you could piggyback, I'm just shooting this out there. If somehow the chamber could be involved because they have a insurance policy for all of their events, but I'm just,
Is this a chamber-sponsored event?
No.
okay. So, yes,
Normally what happens is, if there's a use of the public's property like that, you can get a one-day insurance policy. It would identify the village as a certificate holder and as an additional insured. You know, then the question becomes, what would the limits of liability be? But it's fairly pro forma for events. I mean, is your organization a not-for-profit, or is it just a loose affiliation of organizations, or?
I'm just putting this on, I do belong to a club, but I don't know if you folks have heard, they run the Tug Hill Challenge up there every year. It's a big sled dog race down there. I can reach out to them and see what they do for insurance purposes. But,
I mean,
this would just be handled on, this is just my,
I mean, it makes sense to at least inquire about the insurance. I mean, you're gonna have insurance coverage for occurrences on village property nevertheless. But it would make sense to inquire and see if it's available for a one-day event.
Well, I remember we've done that before, asked people for one-day insurance certificate.
That or the village requires waivers, right? Up on the golf course when people are playing golf, they sign a waiver that day. The village is not responsible for any.
You can do the same thing with the participants, sure.
Yeah.
Right, but I still think it would be in our best interest to have a insurance certificate from whatever his group is named doing it. So we need a motion?
yes. Yes, we need number one, we need a motion for,
Okay, what's your name?
Matthew Jobson, Jobson.
Okay, and under what name are you doing this?
The Winter Carnival.
Under Matthew Jobson, Winter Carnival.
this is,
Oh, okay, I didn't.
He's doing this as
this is an
a new
addition with the
additional
winter
thing.
carnival.
Oh, okay, I thought this was
No.
separate. Okay, well, this is all
Yeah,
brand new today.
That's okay.
So number one, I need approval for Mr. Campany for the bonfire for the winter carnival.
I'll make a motion, we give, Winter Carnival permission for the bonfire.
I'll second that.
Motion by trustee Doria, second by trustee Homer to approve Mr. Campbell's request for the bonfire. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed. Second, to add Mr. Jobson to the dog sled on the back nine and golf course, pending
Pending one-day insurance.
the one-day insurance and so forth.
Right.
Is the winter carnival, is that when they're doing the pond hockey thing? Is that all part of the river? It
I
used
think
to
that's separate. I think that's
Pond hockey is separate, yes.
Okay, cause it used to be one big hoopla,
Yeah.
so. I'm looking at old posters, right?
I'll make a motion. Give
I'll
permission
second.
to use the golf course on behalf, we have a one-day liability insurance.
Motion by trustee DeRigo, second by trustee Fulmer to allow Mr. Jobson to add into it the dog sled, the back nine golf course, off the tees and so forth with the one-day insurance. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Local law number 7, 2022.
What is that?
This is a resolution for the local law for today, to do the paperwork.
So the resolution to adopt local law number 7 of 2022, amend to zoning law to add subsection 150-34, sign regulations. Whereas the Village of Alexandria Bay, New York, is interested in amending the zoning law to include its sign regulations as part of its village zoning, and whereas the village board has evaluated the legislation in light of State Environmental Quality Review Act, which is SEQR, has determined SEQR does not apply, and whereas the village board has determined to proceed with legislation to amend the village's zoning law to add subsection 150-34. Now therefore be it resolved by the village board of Alexandria Bay, New York, that the village board hereby enacts local law number 7 of 2022, which is intended to amend the village zoning law by including sign regulations as part of the village zoning. Number 2, the mayor for the village of Alexandria Bay, village clerk for the village of Alexandria Bay, and their respective agents, employees are authorized to sign all documents and take all steps necessary to enact the legislation. This resolution shall take effect immediately. I need a motion to
I'll make a motion to sign into effect local law number 7.
I'll second it.
foregoing resolution is offered by Board Member Fuller and seconded by Board Member Demo, and upon roll call vote of the board was duly adopted as follows.
Trustee Caputo.
Yes.
Trustee Demo.
Yes?
Trustee DeRigo.
Yes.
Trustee Fulmer.
Yes.
Mayor Jarvis.
Yes. Yeah, good.
Okay.
That's a little signature.
Back one, right?
Just for interest, I want to bring up about the SAM grant that the village, in conjunction with the Rotary, applied for, I believe, 6 years ago. We were notified in February of 2018 by DASNY, which is the Dormitory Authority of the State of New York. And the SAM grant number is, SAM is State Municipal Grant, is 12913, for the amount of $100,000. And this is, I say, with conjunction with the Rotary Group to refurbish, as we call it, the old chamber building downtown for public bathrooms and an office space for the public. In the last 2.5 years, I worked with Senator Ritchie's office trying to get the money, and it's been painful to think that this February it will be 5 years waiting for approval of this. I mean, in the meantime, we put a new roof on the building, the furnace is cleaned up, it's a propane furnace. We have one of the engineers from BCA is using it as an office while we're working on the ready work at the wharf and the water plant and the docks. I have called 8 different Democrat state senators from Buffalo to in Syracuse, Utica, Albany, Yonkers. I've even called the majority leader's office. And it's an absolute horrible runaround that the state senators cannot get together. Supposedly, Senator Ritchie's office, they've said, we have signed all the paperwork. I know the town has 2 years that they've been waiting on a grant for a new Zamboni for the ice arena for another $100,000. There's over 300 of these grants waiting for a signature by the state majority, Senate. DASNY even says it's in their hands, and we're still waiting. I just want the public to know that we're trying to do everything possible to get these people to just simply say, out of the 300 that are out there, the minority Senate took maybe 30 of them and said, just pass this group, which the town and the village is in that group. And that was a year and a half ago, that we're still waiting. I just want the public to know how horrible people elected to office are treating those that they're supposed to serve.
I know you and I have had lots of conversations about this, and also every time I go to a Rotary meeting, they want to know. But I don't know that we're going to get anywhere without us doing something. And maybe we suggest officially to someone on that chain that if we don't hear a response in a certain amount of time, I suggest we go to the press and talk about it.
Just a week ago Monday, I talked with Senator Liz Kruger, who is a Democrat out of Albany area. I spoke to her rep, his name is Josh Korn, and he assured me that, we've already signed it and sent it back to Senator Orrick's office, who is the minority leader, only to find out that, no, that hasn't been done. If it's signed, it will go from Albany's Democrat Senate to Dasney.
Right.
And calling Dasney's office, we haven't seen it.
Well, that's what I think we should do. Otherwise, you're gonna be waiting
It's
another
just-
5 years.
And yesterday he told me, well, there's a senator in Utica that's been waiting 8 years for a veterans memorial.
And they're not gonna do anything
And
until they start getting pressured.
And I even told, I'm gonna say this in public, I don't care if it's Democrat, Republican, or Communist, forget the party, you're in office, do the job for the people. And that didn't sit well. Oh, don't blame the Democrats, I'm a Democrat. Mr. Sweet.
I'm gonna ask Tom to help me here a little bit. So we have two sand grants. We have one for $125,000 of Redwood Sewer, we have one for $100,000 for Zamboni. The $125,000 for the Redwood Sewer, we have been granted a, what's the term called, that means we can start drawing?
Yeah, the town did get a grant disbursement agreement, but it took 4 years to get that from the time the town asked us to assist. And I think you had at least 2 years prior to that.
And Dank told us right up front when we hired them and when we talked to them about it, when we were working over the contract to hire them, that this could be 3 to 5 years. We've seen them like that all around, right?
Yeah, I did one for the village of Hubleton, that they told them to go ahead and proceed. And it took I didn't get the money until 3 years after the project was done. The village went ahead and did the work because they couldn't wait any longer. And it took 3 years that they had to carry, it was $100,000 that they carried on their books. Until I finally got them the money this summer.
The other thing they told us was that you have to spend all of the money before you can get reimbursed. So that's what we're in the process of doing right now.
Yes, and that's.
And document receipts, cancel checks, the whole deal.
Yep.
But you already got approval for yours.
For one of them.
One of
For
them.
one, so we just started spending the money, buying the stuff that was on our list that we were approved. It's gonna take us well over a year to acquire all that stuff, mainly because of what's going on with ordering stuff and buying things, or it could be more than a year. So we've got over a year, let's say, of doing that, and then, as he's saying, we might have another 3-year wait to get paid.
And then
But we were told that too.
the other one, they still are in the same position, they're just waiting. And we follow up with Dasney every couple months, and it's the exact same statement that I get on every project from here to, I have ones down in southern Lewis County, it's the same statement. It's, you have done everything that you can do at this time. It is, Dasney has reviewed and approved and passed it along to the Senate for their approval.
People should be fired from Albany.
I'm just, But, yeah, I just wanted, you know, the mayor, the village isn't being singled out.
I understand
Nobody
that.
gets fired from the state.
I understand that, but
Yeah,
it's
look at me,
wrong,
Look at you.
and, you know, it's not right.
No, I just had to bring that.
Thomas, are you here for something else, or just streetscape?
I was here in case, to discuss about the ready if needed and the backstory, but Gregor's got good information this afternoon, so we didn't really need to go into that.
We always appreciate you being here, but I was just
No, I was, in case we need to go into some more history of why we had to keep it where it was, but
Okay.
the DOS has come off that, and so,
Thanks, Tom.
I mean, I guess,
Gregor?
I don't know if you're aware either, I have taken a different position with the authority. I'm now the Assistant Director of Engineering, so I will be back involved with the projects much more than I was. I know I was on to,
Thanks, Thomas.
Oh, I get to harass
Missed you.
him again.
Are you gonna be involved with us when we do the New York Forward and DRI? That would be
Yep.
Thomas? Great.
Oh,
Yeah.
Time set for that, or?
We don't have a time yet, we're gonna,
Okay.
hopefully this week we'll let you know, we've all been told,
Yep.
January 5th. We'll let you know what time.
I might not be doing like all the day-to-day work, but I will be involved.
Okay, great,
Great,
thank you.
nice job. Anything else under new business?
I got something. I sent a letter to you, Steve, that I don't think I was able to forward it to everybody. Did the board members get the letter about the court?
I talked to a few of them about it.
Okay, if you could pass that on, I think I passed it on to Sandy today, I didn't have all the, but basically, do you have that letter?
Yeah, on the phone.
What's that? Oh.
I don't have it printed.
I'll just summarize what it says. It says that I've been talking to Rebecca Wilcox, New York State Comptroller. I've had two conversations with her. I've had numerous conversations with our judges who are talking to the people in Syracuse that run this region. And we're trying to find out what's going on with the monies that the town collects that are for village ordinances, for instance, parking tickets, disorderly conduct. I sent Steve a letter about that, said that we were digging into it. We fully intend to pay the village the money that they're owed, but we don't know what the process is, we don't know what the formula is, we don't know what the percentage that the town gets for processing the tickets is. And we've asked all these questions and trying to get answers on that, and I hope that George Schaefer, one of our judges, is looking into it in depth to find out what we do. I think you had a question, Steve, about a check that we wrote you in February.
Yeah.
Here's a canceled check for $50. I also sent the board members to their emails, the three that I had, a copy of the report that we had in March that had that $50 check on it, that shows that we dispersed it to you, and there the check has been cashed, and the canceled check.
I
Okay.
haven't seen anything, but Erica did paperwork, so I don't know.
So we
There's a court.
paid everything
Erica
that
was
we've
for
been
it
told
at that
to
time.
that's on those reports. I personally think there's supposed to be a lot more on those reports that's not. I don't know what the answer is to this one, because I do have a list that I just got 4 days ago of $1,305 of fines that have been paid to the town of Alexandria. I sent Steve that list. And that list goes back to January 1.
Okay.
And the only payment I see is $50.
So somebody will send that to Molly, the village clerk, or is that to you?
I'll forward this whole letter and everything to
Okay.
everyone.
Okay.
Do you want Molly to send, or somebody, not necessarily Molly, to send you all our emails?
I'm sorry?
Do you want Molly to send all of our emails to you,
Yeah.
so you have
I
it?
think, yeah.
I have new emails that will go today to
I don't have
trustee
Cindy's.
Caputo
You got mine,
and
don't you?
trustee DeRigo. You both have new village emails that the mayor will give you, after the meeting.
Yep.
For the village, so everyone that's on the board should have a village email, not use a personal or other. So I got those from our IT company today, to give to you guys after the meeting, so.
You
Steve
have
has
one.
them for
I
you.
have one.
Yeah, you and the mayor, and I just did one for trustee DeRigo and trustee Caputo. So we're caught up and up to date, so I can give a list of everybody. I'll forward it to you, right?
Thank you.
That will get everything. Anything else?
I don't have anything.
Public concern? Need a motion to go to executive for, talk about the litigation.
Litigation.
Yeah, I'll make a motion, we, put executive for litigations.
I'll second.
Who second? My hearing's around. Judy. Motion by trustee Randall, second by trustee Fulmer for executive, all in favor? Aye.
They're not all this quiet. It's pretty quick though, it's only 6:30.
Does he get them?
I think so, but I'll have you ask him.
Just,
So we got an idea what.
just real quick to talk to that.
What are you gonna
Go near you, are you sick?
do?
Mayor,
May want to stay back.
do you have a key to lock the door?
No,
I'll go grab mine.
my keys are in here.
Okay, I'll go grab it.
Have a good night.
Good night.
Are you helping Kevin or?
I think thing from
Yeah.
Charbonneau, Paul, on the flag.
Real world.
Yeah.
I didn't think it'd be politically correct if they have to mandate they all have a 214 in order to get.
Oh, my goodness.
I wanted to so bad.
Do they know how, so the way
Yes,
that.
he must have a DD 214. Oh, he's not dead yet.